autism is my gender. I experience gender because of my autism, and I think I experience sexual attraction or my sexual orientation and identity because of my autism.
I'm generalizing, but I've experienced that people don't have the patience to actually communicate or understand how how neurodivergent communication works.
Part of my journey has been just finding a sense of safety even in my own body.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Autism from the Inside. Today we have a very special panel discussion on the topic of autistic and LGBTQIA+.
My experience has been easier being embraced and accepted within the autistic community and the neurodivergent community than it has been in the general LGBT gay man community. Maybe it's because it goes to the crux of who we are. I mean, how we think and how we perceive the world and how we interact with the world seems to me to be a bit more of a deeper thing and something that you really can't hide as much as perhaps one's sexual orientation.
There's such a heavy emphasis when interacting with the queer community on dating and relationships. And in terms of the autistic community, I haven't really had one. I haven't really interacted with a purposeful group of autistic people, maybe until this moment. And looking back now, I realize how many people that I have felt really safe and connected to have turned out to be neurodiverse or specifically autistic.
Growing up, I loved playing sport. Not that I'm very good at it, but that's not what my drive to play was about. And when I came out as non-binary, the sporting system here in Australia is very binary. You play in either a men's or a women's competition or mixed, but the mixed competitions have specific gendered rules. And I found myself really stuck. Then I found the queer community in sport, and my pattern recognition, I guess once you see it, you can't unsee it with autism. As soon as I started making some friends in this space, I realised that sport was all of their special interests too. And then I dropped the hint of, I'm autistic. And then, 5 or 6 other people were like, autism? Oh, me too. And so then we all got to bond over our special interest of sport, but also, I guess, I found community of sharing information and making friends with people who I got along well with just because we have commonalities in our identity, but also in our interests.
Coming out as queer has been easier than coming out as autistic because in India, the queer movement is very active, but it's not mainstream. And people may not know what queerness means, but people think they know what autism is, and they have a lot of negative assumptions about autism.
With my autism, I was diagnosed with it at the age of 8, so it was already, I guess, part of me trying to be more included in the LGBTQIA plus community. I've found that in a way a little bit more difficult because the LGBTQIA plus community, it encompasses so many different people, not just autistics. And a lot of the traditional gatherings in that of the LGBTQIA plus community aren't exactly autism friendly. When I first came out as being bisexual, I kind of almost felt lonely in that sense until I found my community through my already established community of friends and that. I kind of felt safe to come out in a very public way because I already had a network or a support network in place through my own work and through my established network. However, for me, it was a lot harder to come out being autistic in many ways because of where I was growing up and the time that I was in. It took me a while to, I guess, get to the point where I did come out, and I to be honest, I didn't feel safe at that point to come out. I came out because I felt like I had to, because people were using autism at school as a derogatory term. They replaced gay, how gay was being used as a derogatory term in the early 2000s. They kind of replaced that with being autistic as a derogatory term. So I felt like I had to come out and in a public way. And luckily for me, it worked out well.
Safety for me, I think, sitting in that level of privilege was about my survival and coming out and being honest with myself and living an authentic life. That took priority in my safety for the future of my existence. And so selfishly, everyone else had to kind of deal with it. My safety came down to that option of living truthfully or not.
It really depends on the social spaces. For me now, what I'm grappling with is spaces where it's safe to come out as neurodivergent. And I would say the one space that really is the space where I have to think long and hard is anything to deal with my occupation or work or profession, because the discrimination is quite rampant. And it's very easy to mask uh, neurodivergent discrimination by using other proxies. So I think that's where I tend to be a bit more reluctant about talking about that until I'm in more of a secure place legally.
So I think safety is about doing work. Like there's an example of just imagine a post box, and there's a label on the post box that says "Birds Welcome," um, but the purpose of the post box, it was designed to be a post box, so letters keep piling up and birds don't have space. So I've borrowed this example from Sarah Ahmed. um, but yeah, so I think that good intentions are not enough for safety, and willingness is a very important thing that um, has been rare in my experience.
I find that the people that I can truly unmask around are really people that are themselves committed to safety, purposefully. And I suppose demonstrating that with particular types of actions, like checking in with you and your comfort level with various things, and some awareness of the types of things that could make you uncomfortable, like aggressive behavior or touching, the pace of things like that. But in general, I think that part of my journey has been just finding a sense of safety even in my own body.
I think the message that I'd like to leave is that it's a journey and that I hope that there's no final point. I hope that I'm forever going on this journey, learning, growing, unmasking, removing these layers, growing new ones. I hope that I get to continue to learn from it because it's been so incredibly helpful and fun. I mean, look, there's elements of it that have not been so great, but I've learned so much and I've met so many people. I mean, having the opportunity to come here and meet people across the world that I wouldn't have had otherwise, I feel so thankful for that.
I would say that I'm just very honored and excited to meet all of you. Wonderful, fascinating, creative, adorable people. You all give me hope that there is community and safety and inspire me to continue to get to know myself more deeply, to learn more about advocating for myself, and that there is hope.
For folks out there, I've asked them to really exercise compassion and understanding when you're dealing with someone who is different, particularly someone who has intersectional identities. So I would hope that people take the time to get to know folks, to give them a chance.
I think for me, the main thing is the fact that my intersectional identity, they are intersectional. You can't separate them when it comes to offering services and resources. You can't just have a resource or a service for the LGBTQIA plus community and a separate one just for autism. This understanding of intersectionality and at least be open to the idea of engaging with intersectional communities, no matter what they are. So you can actually serve the entire community, not just a small portion.
I think the one thing I'll say is never assume that assume someone's pronouns. Ask people about their needs and their communication needs. Don't assume similarly that someone is or isn't autistic. Like everyone, neurodivergent people and autistic people also need to belong, and we can be very productive and members of our communities, but we have social needs too, and we do need to belong.